Anyway, this is a helpful video for if you have yourself the 8250, the Char Griller Grand Champion XD Extreme Duty. If you have that grill and you're gonna, or if you just bought it and you're gonna build it, this is a help video on some things that I learned building my grill. First off, there's a few things where you need two people. When you like a loading and unloading, because it's like 250 pounds, not counting all the boxing and stuff like that. So you're looking at 300 pounds. And that's just for the main chamber box. Then the smoke box, that's like 70 pounds. 50 to 70 pounds, somewhere in there. All right, now, the main chamber, the box has a lid. When you cut the straps, the lid will slide off the top. Take the box and slice at the corners and fold the sides down, leaving the main chamber on the foam and on the cardboard box. Remove items where your main chamber is just sitting on the two foams on the bottom. Remove everything out of the inside, because that's where everything is. Put that off to the side on a tarp, if you're on cement and stuff, that way you don't scratch it and that. And then take a bungee cord or a rope or something. Don't use tape. Use a bungee cord or rope. Wrap it around the main chamber to hold the door shut. Roll the main chamber up onto its top. Put your legs on. Don't put them on tight. Put all your screws in, but let them where they'll wiggle around. This is so when you put your tray in, your bottom tray, you have wiggle room on the legs to get the bolt started on that lower tray. Tighten up the lower tray, then go down and tighten up the ones on your main chamber. You don't crank on them like they're 3/4 inch bolts. Snug them up and give them maybe an eighth of a turn more. You know, that's pretty much all you need. You know, after a month or two of cooking on it, just go through and double check your bolts. All right, now, all right, you're at that point where you have the legs on there. All right, have a second person help you kind of roll it down to where the legs are, and then lift up on it as you rotate it, and then set it down on its feet. Then mount your side box. Mount your side box before you put anything else on it. Have your handle mounted on your side box so that and your both doors. That way, when you open and close them, you don't end up grabbing the felt and tearing the felt off, and then you get mad because you got a leak. And same thing with your front, with your main chamber. As soon as you have it up on its feet, put that handle on it so you can open and close it with the handle instead of grabbing the door and risk ripping your felt and then getting mad because you got a leak. Because any leak is not the company's fault. The leak is your fault. Excuse me. All right. Mounting the smoke box. You don't need any ATV or none of that stuff. I've ran my grill out of the box, no mods. I ran it over an hour, all the way up to 450 degrees for the season, because I did the seasoning, obviously. I had absolutely no leaks. And you can too. When you mount that side box, get a couple of screws in there, or bolts in there to hold it up. You can take two people to hold it up. All right, once you get like 3 bolts, a couple in the top and the bottom one's in, and make sure you put that cross plate on there before you put it up there. All right, then tighten that up, but do your bolts on the smoke box in a star format of tightening, kind of like a tire. Don't just go like this and tighten them up. Or tighten this one up, go that one, tighten it up, tighten it up, tighten it up. What happens then is you warp the metal. So make sure you do a crisscross pattern. Keep going crisscross. Tighten it a little bit. Go to the next one. Tighten it a little bit. Crisscross, tighten. Keep going where you end up making like 3 times of going around all the bolts before you to the point where you're going to actually snug them tight. Those you're going to just crank real tight because it's actual bolt. You know, crank them down tight. I mean, don't wail on them, but because they're not half-inch bolts, but or 3/4 bolts. So, but tighten them. Make sure they're tight. Now, when you go to season it, go ahead and shoot the outside of the, hit all the gaskets with Pam. When you season them, I don't know if you've seasoned any grills before, but if you noticed when you season them, that seasoning is a buildup from the smoke and it gets sticky. So go ahead and shoot your gaskets, all your gaskets with Pam. So when it seasons, you get a nice sticky gasket. And that's seasoning. If you have any small little holes, be patient. Because that seasoning will get in, that smoke will get into that hole and it will create its own seal. That will seal itself up. Don't totally clean your grill every time. Because then you start scraping the seasoning out. And you're going to have leaks. Let that thing self-seal. And then you're good to go. But you should have no leaks out of the box. If you did, go back through and look at your assembly. Because if you take your time and you assemble it properly, you will not have any leaks. Let's see, any other tips? Man, that's about it, I think. Other than it's heavier than a son of a gun, make sure you have help. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else. That's pretty much all. That's pretty much all the tips. Yeah, make sure you use Pam inside and out. First seasoning, you don't have to according to manual. But then, from there on, make sure you get inside and out. Use charcoal for your seasoning. Use charcoal in the main chamber. And then your smoke box, just make a small fire in there just for seasoning. Use your main chamber. If you use your smoke box and you try to take it to 450, you're going to start blistering your paint and everything else. Because you're going to be taking that way up over 500 to get the main chamber, the smoke box over 500, to get the main chamber to 450. So go ahead and use, and you got the charcoal bin or tray, use it. It'll save you a lot of fuel and a lot of time. Because you're going to notice that thing's going to heat up very quick. And it holds very good. So yeah, use the main chamber for your seasoning, and then just use a side box for kind of seasoning the side box type thing. But don't use a lot of wood, just enough to season it, and then just use your main chamber for your main heat source for that 450 degrees. So, all right, I hope some of these tips are helpful. Enjoy your grill, and happy cooking.